The voice of silence in court broke. Chicco Twala's words shattered years of speculation. In the next 18 minutes, we'll unpack the explosive claims Twala has just made about Kelly Khumalo, details that could finally close one of South Africa's most controversial chapters. Do you believe public confessions can truly change the course of justice, or is damage already done? Share your thoughts before we dive deep. It was a Sunday evening in October 2014 when the nation's heart stopped. Senzo Meyiwa, the charismatic captain of Bafana Bafana, was gunned down in what was first called a botched robbery. But the details never sat right. The scene was too quiet, the witness accounts too inconsistent, and the timeline felt stitched together. Among the people linked indirectly to that night, Chicco Twala's name would emerge in hushed conversations, always without direct proof. For years, the truth remained locked away, as the case transformed from a murder investigation into a long, twisting national mystery. For almost a decade, Chicco Twala's voice on the matter was nothing more than scattered denials and carefully worded statements. Legal experts suggested he might have been bound by formal restrictions, while those close to him whispered about deep fears. Fears of retaliation, fears of destroying reputations, fears of stepping into a storm no one could control. Silence, for Twala, seemed like both a shield and a curse. Every year that passed without clarity only made his eventual words more valuable. The longer he waited, the more people began to question if he would ever speak at all. Courtrooms are usually places of measured speech, but that day the air was thick with anticipation. Chicco Twala, a figure long associated with speculation but no confession, took the stand. And then, in words that cracked attention wide open, he aimed his revelations directly at Kelly Khumalo. Those in attendance recalled the room's collective stillness, the reporters leaning forward, the legal team shifting in their chairs. It wasn't just what Twala said, it was how he said it. Calm, certain, almost rehearsed. In a case that had been stagnant for years, the narrative had just detonated. According to Twala's claims, the events surrounding Senzo's death were not random but orchestrated. He painted a picture of behind-the-scenes dealings involving significant sums of money, deliberate silences, and people with more to lose than the public could imagine. Allegations of payoff attempts and concealed arrangements were hinted at, though not yet proven. It was a narrative that linked not just individuals, but networks. People who had crossed paths in business, in entertainment, and in personal life. The implication was clear. This was not a tragedy of chance, but one woven with intention. Over the years, Kelly Khumalo has had to defend herself repeatedly against accusations, both direct and implied. Her public statements often carried a tone of frustration, sometimes even defiance. Legal threats were made toward those she felt defamed her, and interviews were carefully curated to steer away from certain topics. In the court of public opinion, this created a divided image. Those who believed in her innocence, and those who saw her as avoiding the full truth. Each response seemed to fuel speculation rather than put to rest, keeping her name tied to the case. Twala's revelations didn't just add a chapter. They threatened to rewrite the entire story. Legal analysts began to speculate whether his testimony could open doors for new evidence, new witness questioning, or even criminal charges. In a case marked by slow-moving proceedings, the injection of fresh allegations had the potential to accelerate or completely redirect the legal process. Prosecutors now had to weigh whether Twala's words could be backed up by material proof, while defense teams prepared for the possibility that years of groundwork could be undermined in a single session. Long before legal verdicts, public opinion often delivers its own ruling. Social media feeds lit up within minutes of Twala's words hitting the airwaves. Hashtags trended, video clips circulated, and heated debates erupted between strangers and friends alike. For some, this was a final confirmation of long-held suspicions. For others, it was an unwelcome reopening of old wounds. The power of collective reaction was undeniable. Once the public takes a stance, it can shape the tone of the entire trial, influencing everything from media coverage to political interest in the case. For the Meyiwa family, each new development in the case is more than a headline. It's a reopening of grief. Reports suggest they were stunned by Twala's direct accusations, though not necessarily surprised. After years of unanswered questions, his decision to speak might have felt like a vindication of their persistence, but also a painful reminder of how long they've had to wait for justice. In private, their emotions were likely conflicted. Relief that truths might finally emerge, and sorrow that it took nearly a decade to hear them voiced in public. Over the years, several people were present or connected to the scene, but never became central to the investigation's public narrative. Some moved away quietly. Others withdrew from media entirely. Now, with Twala's testimony out, legal minds are asking whether these voices might finally be called back into the spotlight. Witness memories may fade with time, but in high-profile cases, even small fragments of recollection can shift the direction of proceedings. The question becomes, who else was there, and what have they been holding back all these years? In modern investigations, paper trails often speak louder than personal accounts. Banking transactions, unexplained withdrawals, and sudden influxes of funds are scrutinized for hidden connections. Likewise, phone records can reconstruct timelines minute by minute, revealing who spoke to whom and when. If investigators align Twala's allegations with digital and financial evidence, the narrative may gain a backbone that cannot be easily dismissed. The tension now lies in whether those records still exist, and if they can survive the legal challenges likely to follow such explosive claims. South African history is rich with stories where crime and politics intersect in ways that complicate justice. Whispers have long suggested that the Meyiwa case might have invisible strings pulled from higher up. Whether those strings are tied to personal connections, industry influence, or something deeper remains speculative. Twala's statements may inadvertently force those in power to confront uncomfortable questions. If political interests are indeed intertwined with the case, the path to resolution could be far more complex than simply determining guilt or innocence. There have been moments in South Africa's legal history where late-stage revelations altered entire trials. From apartheid-era truth commissions to modern-day corruption scandals, the legal system has shown that even years-old cases can be revitalized by one bold confession. In some instances, such testimonies have led to breakthroughs. In others, they've collapsed under cross-examination. Twala's words now stand at that same crossroads. Either they will become a pivotal turning point, or they will dissolve into the noise of a case already heavy with contradictions. Kelly Khumalo's public persona has always been a blend of musical talent, controversy, and resilience. This latest development threatens to tilt that balance entirely. And so, we arrive at the edge of another cliff in a story that has haunted South Africa for over a decade. Chicco Twala's voice has finally entered the storm, and his words have already changed the atmosphere. Whether it's pulled back the curtain on a long-concealed truth or simply stirred the waters with a new narrative, the effect is undeniable. The game has shifted. From the silent witnesses to the shadowy money trails, from whispered political influence to the seismic reactions online, every element now feels heavier with implication. Kelly Khumalo's career, Twala's legacy, and the collective faith in the justice system are all now tethered to what happens next. This is not just about a single case. It's about the credibility of truth in a world where narratives are fought over as fiercely as verdicts. And as much as people crave closure, the reality is that closure often comes at the pace of power, not the pace of pain. So, here's the question that will linger long after this video ends. When the final chapter is written, will it be justice or just another story told too late? If you want to stay with this journey until that answer arrives, make sure you're part of the community that refuses to let this case fade into silence. Because when the next revelation comes, and it will, you'll want to hear it first.